All right, for this week's stuff, we're going to look at solving ratios in different ways. And the way that we're going to start off with first is called a unit rate. A unit rate is just making something be out of 1. In the problem we have here, we've got 64 pints equals 4 quarts. And I need to know how many pints would equal 9 quarts. So we're going to try to find a unit rate here. To find a unit rate, we want to make one of these equal 1, either the 64 or the 4. In order to do that, we need to find something that divides into both of these to get it down to 1. So we're either going to want to divide by 64 or we're going to want to divide by 4. If we divide by 64, this number is going to be a decimal. We don't want that for this anyway. So what we want to do is we want to pick the one that's going to make the other number not a decimal. So we want to use 4. So we're going to divide by 4. So if I do 4 divided by 4, that's going to be 1. If I do 64 divided by 4, 64 divided by 4 is 16. Now what we have left over is what we call a unit rate. We've got it out of 1 quart. So now we know that 16 pints is 1 quart. So now we should be able to solve our problem down here. How many pints is 9 quarts? There's a couple ways we could finish this one off. Okay. I could simply make a little chart here, which is always nice to do if you just label things here. I can make categories of pints and I can make categories of quarts. We know that we're going to stop when we get up to 9 quarts. So I could just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you know that every 1 quart is 16 pints. So we'd have 16 pints there. And then another 16, we'd have 32. And then another 16, we'd have 48. And we could go all the way on down the line until we got to the 9. Okay, which you can do. And then whatever you get here, that will be what your answer is. We're just adding 16 each time. Every one over here is 16 over here. Also, you know that we need 9 quarts. So with the 9 quarts, if we already have 1, it's just 9 times more. So we can just multiply both of these numbers by 9 to get the 9 quarts we need. If we multiply the other number by 9, that's going to tell us what goes in this blank right here. So essentially the problem we're just doing is 16 times 9. 6 times 9 would be 54. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So our answer to the problem is, how many pints would be 9 quarts? It would be 144 pints equals 9 quarts. The one thing that I would keep in mind for you here is, anytime we do any of these ratio problems, make sure you label everything, make sure you keep everything straight, what is what. That's going to be very important as we move forward with this. For this next one, we're going to do the same method. We're going to use a unit rate to solve this problem. We know that there are $48 for 6 people. How much money would there be for 5 people if we kept the same ratio going? So we're going to find a unit rate. So basically what I'm looking for is, in our original numbers, I need something that goes into 48 and 6. Okay? The bigger the better, because we want to make one of these equal 1. And to make one of these equal 1, we're going to want to use one of the numbers we already have. So we're either going to use 48 or we're going to use 6. Okay? We're going to use 6 here, because if I do 48 divided by 6, I'm going to get a decimal. I don't want that for this problem anyway. So I'm going to divide both of these by 6. 6 divided by 6 would be 1 person. 48 divided by 6 would be $8. So we know that for every 1 person, there's $8. So everybody's got $8, is basically what we're saying here. So now I need to know how many dollars for 5 people. Now on the common sense side of things, you would hope that the number that you get for this answer is less than 48, because if we had 6 people and it was $48, now when we have 5 people, the number should be less. So we can do a few things here. I can make a chart over here, which I think works really well. I can put dollars in that column, and I can put people in that column. And I know that one person is 8, 2 people would be 16, 3 people would be 24. See, in this column, I'm going up by ones every time. In this column, I'm going by $8 every time. So I go 4 here, 32, 5 here, 40. So that's the end of our chart right there. 5 people would be equal to $40. Now, if we want to do it a different way, I could just say that how do I get from one person to 5 people? Okay, 5 is 5 times bigger than 1, so I'm just going to multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 times the same thing, 8 times 5 would be 40. So your answer would be $40 for 5 people.